I'm Rebecca Farmer, buyer at Corney and Barrow, and we're here at the Corney and Barrow annual Burgundy tasting 2019, showing the 2017 vintage. And I'm here with Marc-Emmanuel Cyrot from Domaine Cyrot-Buthiau. Welcome, Marc.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about the domain and how you come to be working with Corney and Barrow?
Yes, with pleasure.
Thank you.
So the estate was created in 1920 by our grandfather, Paul Joseph. He was probably a famous man in Burgundy because at that time, so just after the First World War, he was the general manager of Chateau Pommard and also the general manager of Clottard in Moret-Saint-Denis. And he had the opportunity to purchase few acres of vineyard in Pommard because he was from Pommard, and he created his own estate, and it was the beginning of our story. And his son, I never knew that. Oh. So, Cyrot-Buthiau, we are always surprised.
I know. It's one of those things that keeps you here time and time again.
So his son André, so my grandfather, took the succession of his father in the middle of the 30s approximately, and he developed the activity of the estate. And unfortunately he was sick just after the Second World War, and my father Jean-Marc arrived on the estate at the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s. I think probably that my father was expecting to arrive a little bit later, but because of the situation, he had to come back quicker. And my father Jean-Marc and my mother Françoise, they really developed the estate because my mother was also owner of vineyards in Marange, so in south of Côte de Beaune. That is why in our range you can find Marange Premier Cru and Centenay Premier Cru, because it's coming from our mother's side. So they developed also the sailing bottle, because at that time, so in the 60s, 70s, for small wine growers, generally they were selling their wine in bulk to the négoce in Beaune. And my father decided at the beginning of the 70s to develop the sale in bottle, and they opened a small shop on the main road of the village.
Which is where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And the result was interesting. The development of the estate was good. Unfortunately, we had a big problem at the beginning of the 80s as our father died in 1980. So I have to admit that the 80s decade was a little bit difficult for us because the vineyard was rented to other wine growers, and there was no production of wine. That is why you cannot find any Cyrot-Buthiau wine between 80 and 88.
Right.
And in 1989 we had the opportunity to create a new company called Domaine Cyrot-Buthiau. Before it was Cyrot-Buthiau Père et Fils, father and son. And in 89, so Domaine Cyrot-Buthiau, on the beginning of a new adventure.
Fantastic.
And we created the estate with my brother Olivier, our mother and myself. And it was very interesting, a little bit complicated, because you know, when you have nobody to tell you, be careful, you have to harvest this plot just before this one, or do not blend these two plots. If nobody can say that, you are making the mistake. And in the wine, when you are making a mistake, you have the result not 6 months after. You have the result 5 or 7 years after, when you ask, why this cuvée is not exactly what I was expecting or something like that. So during the 90s, our experience was really to know our terroir, to know our estate. And after, with the beginning of the 2000 years, we have invested a lot in material to increase our quality, and to develop also a style which is our style, so wine typical from their terroir, but with a very nice expression of finesse. This is what we love in the wine and what we would like to produce. And I think that in 2007, I had the opportunity, on a special request of Rebecca, to be introduced in the Corney and Barrow purchase staff, and to have the opportunity to show our wine. And at that time we had no importer in the UK, so it was a very good opportunity. And we knew together for a long time, and you offer us this opportunity. And I think that the first vintage we sold to you was 2005, probably.
I think so.
And it was
2005.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of a new, very nice adventure. A lot of nice adventure in wine business, and we are very happy with that. And I am also very happy to be here today because we are introducing a new label, which is something very important in the Domaine life, to have a new label. The previous label was created in 1998, so 20 years ago. So we thought that it was the good time, the right time to
refresh.
Exactly, to refresh it. So the style is approximately the same. We kept the same police of character. We kept, of course, the same brand with the same écriture writers.
Yes, the same fonts.
Same logo, but we modify some things. So it's, I think, a little bit. We have more purity.
It's classy.
Thank you very much, and I am very happy that you like the label, because it's very
I think it looks really smart.
Okay, thank you. I'm very happy. So this is our new label, the new Domaine Cyrot-Buthiau label.
This is the new baby.
The new baby, yes, and we are also very happy to have this label for the 2017 vintage, because.
Tell us a little bit about 17.
For us it was an important vintage, very important vintage, because the past years, 12, 13, 14, we had hailstorm, so very small production. 15 was a wonderful vintage, but half production, because the vineyard was probably very tired by the hailstorm of 12, 13 and 14, so the production of the 15 was very limited. And 16, which was originally a good vintage in quantity. We had a terrible frost in the 27th of April, and we lost on some plots approximately 80% of the production, so it was really a disaster. So 2017, I think that the first reaction when the grape arrived in the fermenting room was oof, we have our grape. Finally. It was not a very big volume, because I think that it was very important in 2017 to limit the yield, and not just to say I want to produce because I produced nothing on the previous vintage and I want to make a big volume. No, it's not the right way, and it's not our philosophy. For the 2017, what we wanted was produce a good vintage, a very good vintage, with a limited volume, but a good volume. And it's exactly what we had. We had approximately 40, 41 hectoliters per hectare, which is good for us, because the average of the vineyard is 45 years old, so it's vieille vigne. So a production at around 40, 41, 42 hectoliters per hectare is for us a good production. I would like to tell easy vintage. It's very easy for me to tell because I'm not the winemaker. Olivier, my brother, is the winemaker. So if he see the movie, he will probably laugh a little bit. It's easier to say, oh, it was a very easy vintage, you know.
Yeah, he'll love you, Marc.
No, seriously, it was not a vintage, a difficult vintage. The quality of the grape was very good. There was no problem of harvest. It was easy to vinify once again.
Straightforward.
Exactly. And the result is, I think, very interesting, because we have a vintage which is already very nice to drink now, even if of course it's too early. But when I say that, it means that we are expecting our wines in 2 or 3 years to begin to have a good condition.
To come into their own.
Exactly.
And do you have any words that you could use to characterize the vintage in your view?
I think probably a very well balanced vintage, because it is once again a vintage with a very nice balance between acidity and the alcoholic degree. It means that we have wine with a good vivacity, fresh wine, which is important. That is why I say that they will be probably ready in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. And they will have a nice potential of aging. Probably not the same potential of aging than 2016, or 15, which were a little bit more powerful, but they will have a good potential of aging 10 or 15 years without any problem.
Okay.
No, we are happy of them.
Great.
Definitely.
So, tout est bien qui finit bien.
Tout est bien qui finit bien, oui. Et puis on a refait, we did in 2018 a very nice harvest. So now we are crossing the fingers that for the next,
for number 3,
yes, that everything could be good. We need it. We need it, and you need it also, because it was difficult for us as wine grower, but it was very difficult for you as a wine merchant, because when there is no wine to sell, it's terrible. So I hope that
it's
all
not
this
easy.
exactly. It's not easy.
Not ideal.
Exactly.
Well, fingers crossed, Marc.
Exactly. Thank you.
Talk to him up there, and then we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Merci.